Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English and Smart Practice.
I'm Elena, and I am so excited you're joining me today. If you've been following along, you know we're on a mission to help you not just learn English, but to live it, to breathe it, and to speak it naturally and confidently every single day. In our last episode, we dove headfirst into the fascinating world of American English idioms and slang, phrases that truly make you sound like a local. Well, today, we're building on that foundation, unlocking another absolutely vital key to authentic communication: phrasal verbs. If you've spent any time learning English, you've definitely encountered phrasal verbs. Maybe you've even found them a bit tricky, or perhaps downright frustrating. You're certainly not alone. They often pop up unexpectedly, changing the meaning of a simple verb in ways that seem completely illogical at first glance. It's like trying to put together a puzzle where some of the pieces magically transform when you connect them. But here's the secret. Native speakers use them constantly, effortlessly, without even thinking about it. They are the backbone of casual, everyday conversation, work discussions, and even more formal settings. Trying to understand a movie, a podcast, or even just a casual chat with an American without knowing phrasal verbs is like trying to navigate a bustling city with half a map. You might get the general picture, but all the crucial details, the nuances, the emotion, they just won't click. You'll miss the jokes, misinterpret intentions, and find yourself saying things that sound a bit too formal or stiff. That's why today is so incredibly important. We're going to demystify phrasal verbs once and for all. We'll explore exactly what they are, why they're so common, and most importantly, we'll break down some of the most essential ones you absolutely need to know to truly speak like a local. We'll cover their precise meanings, see them in action with plenty of real-life examples, and give you clear practice prompts so you can immediately start integrating them into your own speaking. This isn't just about adding more words to your vocabulary list. It's about adding a new dimension to your English, allowing you to connect more authentically and express yourself with greater ease. By the end of this extensive episode, my goal is for you to feel a significant shift in your understanding and confidence. You won't just know a list of phrasal verbs. You'll understand how they work, when to use them, and how to decipher them even in fast-paced conversations. This is all about taking your English from good to great, from understandable to authentically fluent. So, whether you're a beginner struggling with the basics or an advanced learner looking to polish your native-like sound, get ready. Grab your notepad, open your mind, and let's unlock the immense power of phrasal verbs together. This is going to be incredibly valuable for your English journey. Let's get started. All right, let's begin by tackling that fundamental question that often makes learners scratch their heads. What exactly is a phrasal verb? At its simplest, a phrasal verb is a combination of a verb. That's your action word, like go, take, put, look, and a small word that we call a particle. This particle is usually a preposition, words like on, off, up, down, out, in, with, for, at, or sometimes an adverb, which often looks just like a preposition, adding to the confusion, I know. But here's the crucial point. When these two parts, the verb and the particle, come together, they fuse to create a brand new meaning that is often entirely different from the original verb alone. This new meaning is what we call idiomatic, meaning you can't usually guess it by just understanding the individual words. Let's illustrate this with a very common verb. Look. Standing alone, look simply means to direct your eyes. Pretty straightforward, right? But watch what happens when we add a particle. if I say, look up. Now, this doesn't just mean to literally direct your eyes upwards towards the sky or the ceiling, though it certainly can mean that in its literal sense, and we'll talk about that important distinction later. More commonly, as a phrasal verb, look up means to search for information, typically in a book, a dictionary, or online. I need to look up this new vocabulary word. Now, if I add a different particle like look for, this combination means to search or to try and find something. I'm looking for my car keys. And if I say look after, this phrase means to take care of someone or something, to supervise them. Could you look after my cat while I'm on vacation? Do you see the incredible transformation? The single verb look becomes 3 totally different concepts, each with its own unique meaning, just by adding a small, seemingly insignificant word. This is the magic, and yes, the initial challenge of phrasal verbs. They're like mini idioms, small linguistic puzzles that, once solved, unlock a wealth of natural expression and allow you to understand English in a much deeper, more authentic way. Now, a quick note on grammar that you'll encounter but don't need to overthink. Phrasal verbs can be transitive, meaning they take an object, for example, I picked up the book, or intransitive, meaning they don't take an object, like the plane took off. And some transitive phrasal verbs are separable, which means you can put the object between the verb and the particle, pick the book up, while others are inseparable, meaning the verb and particle must stay together. Look after your sister. The most important thing for you right now isn't to memorize these grammatical terms, but to learn the phrasal verbs in context with their typical usage. By hearing and practicing them in natural sentences, you'll naturally absorb which ones are separable or inseparable and when the object goes in the middle versus at the end. We'll focus on natural usage as we go through plenty of examples. The reason phrasal verbs are so incredibly prevalent in American English, especially in spoken language, is that they often replace more formal or Latin-derived single verbs. Instead of saying investigate, we very often say look into. Instead of tolerate, we say put up with. Instead of cancel, we say call off. Using these phrasal verbs makes your English sound much more casual, more conversational, more accessible, and, well, more authentically American. It's a key part of fitting in and sounding like you really belong in English-speaking environments. So, are you feeling ready to dive into some of the most common and essential phrasal verbs that will immediately make your English shine? We're going to explore them one by one, giving you plenty of opportunities to practice each one so you can start using them with confidence today. Essential phrasal verbs for everyday life and communication. We'll start with some phrasal verbs that are integral to your daily routine and actions, then move into how they shape our conversations and relationships, and finally touch upon some extremely useful ones for work, problem solving, and general situations. This is a big list, so take your time, listen carefully, and repeat after me. Let's kick things off with a couple of verbs related to getting your day started and managing your physical presence. First, get up. The most common meaning of get up is to rise from bed after sleeping. It's a daily action for almost everyone, so it's incredibly useful to know. For example, you might say, I have to get up early tomorrow for work. Or, it was so cold that I didn't want to get up this morning. Sometimes it refers to just rising from a seated position, as in, please get up and come over here. Now think about your own morning routine. What time do you usually get up? Try saying this aloud. I usually get up at 7 a.m. Next, very similar but distinct, is wake up. This phrasal verb means to stop sleeping. It can be transitive, meaning something else wakes you up, or intransitive, meaning you simply become awake. For instance, I often wake up before my alarm clock goes off. Or, the loud thunder woke me up during the storm. You might ask a friend, did you wake up feeling refreshed this morning? Consider what helps you become fully awake in the morning. Try saying, a cup of coffee helps me wake up in the morning. Now let's talk about those actions we do every day involving our clothes and accessories. We have put on. This means to place clothes, accessories, or even makeup on your body. It's an essential part of getting dressed. You could say, it's getting cold outside. I need to put on a sweater. Or, she likes to put on some music while she cooks. You can also use it for things like sunscreen. Don't forget to put on sunscreen before you go to the beach. Imagine you're getting ready to go out. Try saying, I'm going to put on my new jacket. The opposite action is take off. This phrasal verb means to remove clothes or accessories from your body, but it has another very common meaning for airplanes. So, for removing something, please take off your shoes before coming inside the house. Or, he took off his glasses to clean them. And for airplanes, the plane is scheduled to take off from the runway in about 10 minutes. Or, we waited for hours for our flight to take off. Consider what you typically do when you get home after a long day. Say, I always take off my shoes as soon as I get home. Moving to actions around the house or with objects and even learning, let's discuss pickup. This is a very versatile phrasal verb with several key meanings. First, it means to lift something from a surface. You might say, can you pick up that pencil from the floor for me? Or, the baby is learning to pick up toys. Second, it means to collect someone from a specific place. For example, I need to pick up my kids from school at 3 o'clock. Or, could you pick me up from the airport tonight? Third, it can mean to learn something new, easily or informally, often just by being exposed to it. She picked up a lot of Spanish while she was traveling in Mexico. Or, it's amazing how quickly children pick up new languages. Think about something you need to collect or a skill you'd like to learn. Try saying, I need to pick up some bread from the bakery. Or, I hope to pick up some new cooking skills. The opposite action for transporting people or items is drop off. This phrasal verb means to deliver something to a place or to take someone to a place and leave them there. It also has a common informal meaning of falling asleep. For example, I'll drop off the dry cleaning on my way to work. Or, can you drop me off at the library, please? In a more casual sense, I was so tired after work, I almost dropped off while watching TV. If you're giving someone a ride, how would you offer to take them somewhere? Say, I can drop you off right in front of the building. And for making spaces tidy, clean up. This phrasal verb means to make a place tidy, neat, and free of dirt or mess. You might hear, we need to clean up the kitchen after this big meal. Or, let's all help to clean up before our guests arrive. If you're doing a big project, it took us all weekend to clean up the garage. After finishing a task that made a mess, you might say, okay, time to clean up this whole area. Now let's explore some phrasal verbs related to searching, discovering, and understanding information. First, find out. This means to discover a fact or a piece of information, often something that was previously unknown. For instance, I need to find out when the store closes today. Or, did you find out who won the game last night? You might tell someone, don't worry, we'll find out the truth eventually. If there's something you need to know, how would you express that? Say, I'll find out all the details and let you know. Another important one is look up, which we touched on briefly. Its primary idiomatic meaning is to search for information, specifically in a book, a dictionary, or on the internet. It can also mean for a situation to improve. For example, for searching, if you don't understand the word, you should look it up in a good dictionary. Or, I need to look up her address before we go. For improvement. After a difficult year, things are finally looking up for her business. When you encounter an unfamiliar term, what's a good strategy? Try saying, I'll look it up online later. Moving into phrasal verbs for interaction and communication, we have talk over. This means to discuss something thoroughly, often in order to make a decision or reach an agreement. You might say, let's talk over the proposal during lunch tomorrow. Or, we need to talk over the pros and cons of this decision very carefully. If you have something important to discuss with someone, how would you suggest it? Say, can we talk this over sometime soon? Another useful one is point out. This means to direct attention to something, to indicate something, or to mention something important. For example, she pointed out a mistake in the report. Or, he always likes to point out interesting details when we're hiking. You might tell someone, let me point out a few key features of this product. If you want to draw someone's attention to a specific detail, say, I'd like to point out a few things. And for when you need to return a call, call back. This means to return a phone call. It's a very common phrase in daily communication. You could say, I missed your call. I'll call you back in 5 minutes. Or, could you ask him to call me back when he's free? I'm busy now, but I'll call back later. If you need to return a call, say, I'll call her back right away. When someone isn't speaking loudly enough, you use speak up. This means to speak more loudly or clearly. For instance, I can't hear you. Could you please speak up? Or, the microphone wasn't working, so he had to speak up a lot. If you need someone to be louder, you might say, it's a bit noisy here. Could you speak up? And to quickly review something, read through. This means to read something from beginning to end, often quickly, or to check for errors. You might say, I need to read through this report before the meeting. Or, please read through your answers before submitting the test. If you're quickly checking a document, say, I'll just read through these notes. Now let's explore some phrasal verbs often used in social settings, relationships, and daily interactions. First, get along with. This means to have a friendly relationship with someone, to like each other, and coexist peacefully. It's very important for describing social harmony. For example, I'm lucky I get along with all my coworkers really well. Or, do you get along with your new neighbors? You might observe, despite their differences, they seem to get along with each other just fine. Describe a relationship you have. Say, I get along with most people. We already touched on this one in our slang episode, but it's such a common phrasal verb it bears repeating, hang out. This means to spend time casually with friends, to socialize informally, often without a specific plan. You might say, do you want to hang out after class today? Or, we used to hang out at the coffee shop every Saturday afternoon. I'm just hanging out at home this evening, relaxing. Suggest some casual plans to a friend. Hey, let's hang out sometime this week. Another one that bridges casual slang and common phrasal verb usage is chill out. This means to relax, to calm down, to take it easy. It's often used as an imperative. For instance, I just want to chill out at home this weekend and watch movies. Or if someone is stressed, hey, you need to chill out a bit. Don't worry so much about it. When you want to relax, say, I'm just going to chill out today. And for when someone comes to visit, come over. This means to come to someone's house or location, usually for a visit. You could say, why don't you come over to my place for dinner tonight? Or, my friend is going to come over later to help me study. Invite someone to your home. Feel free to come over anytime this weekend. Now for those moments when things go wrong in a relationship, break up. The most common meaning of this phrasal verb is to end a romantic relationship. It can also mean to separate into smaller pieces or for a phone connection to become unclear. So for relationships, they broke up after 5 years of dating because they wanted different things. For separation, the old wooden structure started to break up and fall apart. And for phone calls, sorry, you're breaking up. I can't hear you clearly at all. If a relationship ended, you might say, they broke up last month. Or on a bad phone call, I can't hear you, you're breaking up. After a disagreement, people often make up. This phrasal verb has several meanings, but a key one is to reconcile after an argument, to become friends again. It can also mean to invent a story or excuse, or to compensate for something. For reconciliation, after their big fight, they quickly made up and apologized to each other. For inventing, he likes to make up wild stories to entertain his friends. For compensation, I'll work extra hours to make up for the time I missed last week. After a disagreement, you might say, let's make up and move on. And for unexpected encounters, run into. This means to meet someone by chance, unexpectedly. It can also mean to encounter a difficulty or problem. You might say, I ran into my old high school teacher at the grocery store yesterday. Or, we ran into some unexpected problems during the renovation project. If you meet someone you know unexpectedly, say, I ran into a friend from college downtown. Sometimes relationships go sour and people fall out. This specifically means to have an argument with someone and stop being friendly with them. To have a disagreement that causes a rift. For example, my sister and I sometimes fall out over small things, but we always make up quickly. Or they fell out over money and haven't spoken since. If you've had a disagreement with someone, you might say, we fell out about that topic last week. Now let's look at some important phrasal verbs for work, tasks, problem solving, and managing your responsibilities. These are crucial for professional and practical communication. First, put off. This means to postpone or delay something, to procrastinate. It's a very common verb to describe delaying tasks. You could say, don't put off your homework until the last minute. It's better to do it now. Or, we had to put off our vacation until next year because of work. He always puts off difficult decisions, which makes things worse. If you're delaying a task, what might you say to yourself? Try. I really need to stop putting off that phone call. Next, carry out. This phrasal verb means to perform or execute a task, a plan, or an order. It implies completing something that has been assigned or decided. For instance, the construction team will carry out the new building design next month. Or, he was instructed to carry out the safety procedures precisely. They need to carry out more research before making a final decision. If you're completing a task according to instructions, say, I need to carry out these instructions carefully. Then we have figure out. This means to understand or solve something or to find a solution to a problem, often through thinking or analyzing. You might say, I can't figure out how to use this new software. It's too complicated. Or can you help me figure out what went wrong with this report? We need to figure out a better way to organize our files. When you're trying to solve a puzzle or a mystery, say, I'm trying to figure out this riddle. Another common one is set up. This phrasal verb has a few important meanings. First, to arrange or establish something, like a meeting, a business, or equipment. For example, let's set up a meeting for next week to discuss the project. Or, they set up a new coffee shop downtown last year. Did you set up the projector for the presentation? Second, it can mean to trick someone or cause them to be in a difficult or bad situation, often unfairly. You might hear, I feel like I was set up for failure in that project. I didn't have enough resources. If you're organizing an event, say, I'll set up the chairs for the party. To indicate completion, we often use wrap up. This means to finish or complete something, especially a task or a meeting. It also means to cover or enclose something. So for completion, let's wrap up this meeting and go home. It's getting late. Or, I need to wrap up this project by Friday afternoon. For covering, make sure to wrap up warm before you go outside. It's freezing. When you're finishing a task, you might say, all right, let's wrap up this discussion. A challenging but vital phrasal verb is give up. This has two primary meanings. First, to stop trying or to surrender. Second, to stop doing or having something, often a habit. For stopping effort. No matter how difficult your English learning journey gets, never give up. Or the team refused to give up even though they were losing. For stopping a habit, he gave up smoking 5 years ago and he feels much healthier now. Or, I'm trying to give up eating so much sugar. If you're facing a challenge, say, I'm not going to give up on this. And for when you really need to focus, knuckle down. This means to apply oneself seriously and diligently to work or a task, especially after a period of not doing much or procrastinating. For instance, I really need to knuckle down and study for my exams if I want to pass. Or, it's time to knuckle down and get this report finished by the deadline. If you have a lot of important work to do, say, I need to knuckle down and get this done. When you want to reduce something, cut down on. This means to reduce the amount or frequency of something. It's often used with habits or consumption. You might say, I'm trying to cut down on coffee, I drink too much. Or, the doctor advised him to cut down on fatty foods. If you want to reduce a habit, say, I should really cut down on screen time before bed. Understanding the nuance. Phrasal verbs versus literal verb plus preposition combinations. This is where some of the common confusion often comes in. Remember, a phrasal verb creates a new, often idiomatic meaning when the verb and particle combine. But sometimes a verb simply takes a preposition to indicate a literal direction or relationship, and in those cases, it's not a phrasal verb. The particle simply acts as a normal preposition. Let's revisit look up to illustrate this important distinction. Phrasal verb. I need to look up this new word in the dictionary. Here, look up means to search for information. You couldn't guess that meaning from look, direct eyes, and up, upwards, literally. The meaning is new. Literal verb. Preposition. I looked up at the beautiful stars in the night sky. Here, looked is the verb, and up is simply a preposition indicating direction. You literally directed your eyes upwards. The meaning is entirely literal and predictable. Here's another great example to help you understand. Go over, phrasal verb. This usually means to review or examine something carefully. Let's go over the plan one more time to make sure we didn't miss anything, meaning review. Go over, literal verb. Preposition. This means to physically move from one side to another. The adventurous dog went over the fence to chase a squirrel, meaning crossed over. The key is to ask yourself, does the combination of the verb and the particle create a meaning that I couldn't easily guess by just understanding the verb and the particle separately in their literal sense? If the answer is no and the meaning is just the sum of its parts, it's probably a literal verb and preposition combination. If the answer is yes and the meaning is transformed, it's likely a phrasal verb. Don't worry if this feels tricky at first. It's a very subtle point even for advanced learners. With consistent exposure, active listening, and dedicated practice, you'll start to develop an intuitive feel for it, just like native speakers do. The more you immerse yourself in natural English, the more these nuances will become clear and natural for you. It's like recognizing faces. At first, you might not be sure, but with more encounters, it becomes instant. Common mistakes with the phrasal verbs and how to avoid them so you can speak naturally. Even advanced learners, people who have been speaking English for years, sometimes stumble with phrasal verbs. But recognizing these common pitfalls is the first step to avoiding them. First, treating them like single interchangeable verbs. While many phrasal verbs do have single word equivalents, you can't always swap them out. For example, put off means postpone, but you wouldn't say I put off the book if you meant I put the book down. Each phrasal verb and its single verb counterpart has specific contexts where it sounds natural. The mistake is assuming a direct, universal substitution. The solution is to learn the specific situations and nuances where each phrasal verb is appropriate, just like you would for any other unique vocabulary item. Second, a very common and often frustrating mistake is confusing separable and inseparable phrasal verbs. Let's explain this simply. A separable phrasal verb means the object can go between the verb and the particle, or after the particle. For example, with turn on, meaning to activate something. You can say, turn on the light, or turn the light on. Both are correct. However, if the object is a pronoun, like it, them, him, her, it must go in the middle, so you must say, turn it on, never turn on it. This is a crucial rule for separable phrasal verbs. An inseparable phrasal verb means the verb and the particle must always stay together. You cannot put the object in the middle, for example, with look after, meaning to take care of. You must say, look after your sister, never look your sister after. The object always comes after the entire phrasal verb. The common mistake, people often put a pronoun after an inseparable phrasal verb, or they put a regular object in the wrong place for a separable one. The solution, when you learn a new phrasal verb, pay attention to its examples. If you often see the object in the middle, especially with pronouns, it's likely separable. If the object is always at the end, it's likely inseparable. With pronouns and separable phrasal verbs, just drill that rule. The pronoun always goes in the middle. Think, pick it up, turn it off, call him back. Third, over-reliance on literal meanings. As we discussed earlier, the biggest hurdle with phrasal verbs is that their meaning is often completely idiomatic. Don't try to guess the meaning of run into, meaning to meet by chance, based on run, move quickly, and into, entering, literally. You'll get confused. You might imagine someone physically running into a wall. The mistake, translating word for word instead of understanding the combined meaning. The solution: always learn the idiomatic meaning of the phrasal verb as a single combined unit. Treat it like a new vocabulary word that just happens to have two or more parts. Fourth, learning them in isolation. A long list of phrasal verbs and their single word definitions is a starting point, but it's not enough to truly internalize them. The mistake? Memorizing definitions without seeing them in real use. The solution? You need to see them in full, natural sentences, in conversation to truly grasp their nuances and appropriate usage. The context is everything. How do native speakers use them? In what kinds of situations? What are the common collocations? Advanced strategies for mastering phrasal verbs like a native speaker. Now that we've covered some common mistakes and understood the core concepts, let's talk about how to really get a handle on phrasal verbs and make them a natural, effortless part of your English. These are the strategies that move you beyond basic understanding to confident, authentic use. First, and this is the golden rule for vocabulary of all kinds, learn them in context. Don't just memorize, give up equals surrender. That's too simplistic and won't help you use it naturally. Instead, learn full, natural sentences. Don't give up on your dreams. Or, I decided to give up sugar for my health. When you learn a new phrasal verb, make it a habit to find at least 3 different example sentences using it in various natural ways. You can use reliable online dictionaries, Google image search, which often shows captions with context, or even dedicated phrasal verb learning resources. The more you see and hear them in real sentences, the stronger the connection will be in your brain. Second, engage in active listening and observation. Watch and listen intently. This means going beyond just passively watching American movies, TV shows, podcasts, and YouTube videos. Instead, actively listen for these phrasal verbs. When you hear one, pause, rewind, listen again. Try to understand the specific context. Who is saying it? What is the situation? What's the overall mood of the conversation? This kind of active engagement trains your ear and your brain to recognize them in real time. Shadowing, this is a powerful technique. After hearing a phrasal verb used in context, try to repeat the entire sentence or phrase exactly as the native speaker said it. Mimic their intonation, their rhythm, their speed. This physical act of speaking helps your mouth and brain get used to producing these combinations naturally and fluently. It builds muscle memory for speech patterns. Third, keep a dedicated phrasal verb journal or digital document. Don't just rely on memory. Dedicate a specific section of your notebook or a digital file just for phrasal verbs. For each new phrasal verb you learn, write down the phrasal verb itself, its primary meanings, and most importantly, the example sentences you found, or even better, created yourself. This active writing process helps cement them in your memory in a meaningful way. You're creating a personalized reference guide. Fourth, group phrasal verbs thematically or by particle. This can make the learning process feel more organized and less overwhelming. By theme. Learn phrasal verbs related to a specific topic that's relevant to you. For instance, you could focus on travel phrasal verbs like take off, check in, see off, get away, drop off, or work phrasal verbs like set up, carry out, call off, knuckle down, wrap up, figure out. This makes them easier to recall when you're in a specific situation. By particle. Sometimes understanding the core meaning or common tendencies of a particle can provide helpful clues. Up often suggests completion, increase, or ascent. Think clean up, complete the cleaning. Wake up become fully awake. Speed up, increase speed. Down often suggests reduction, decrease, or descent. Think turn down, reduce volume. Slow down, reduce speed. Sit down, move to a lower position. Out often suggests external movement, revelation, or completion. Think find out, discover externally. Go out, leave the house, run out, use up completely. Off often suggests separation, departure, or removal. Think take off, remove clothing, drop off, leave someone, call off, cancel, separate from plans. While this isn't a hard and fast rule for every phrasal verb, it can provide useful hints and connections as you build your understanding. Fifth, create your own examples. This is one of the most effective ways to truly internalize phrasal verbs. Instead of just memorizing the examples I've given you today, actively think about your own life, your own experiences, and create sentences using the new phrasal verbs. The more personal the connection you have to the sentence, the easier it will be to recall and use that phrasal verb naturally. For instance, for put off, think about something you often put off. I always put off doing laundry until Sunday evening. Or for pick up. I need to pick up my friend from the airport next week. Sixth, and perhaps most importantly, use them actively and don't be afraid to make mistakes. The only way to make phrasal verbs a natural part of your active vocabulary is to use them. Start with the ones you feel most comfortable with, perhaps the ones you heard most frequently today. Try to incorporate just one or two new phrasal verbs into your daily conversations with a language partner, a tutor, or even when you're simply thinking or talking to yourself in English. Don't worry about perfection. Focus on communication. Mistakes are an absolutely essential part of the learning process. They show you where you need to improve, and they help your brain solidify the correct usage. Don't let the fear of imperfection stop you from experimenting and actively trying out these powerful phrases. Finally, review regularly. Like all new vocabulary, phrasal verbs can fade from your memory if not reviewed consistently. Use flashcards, spaced repetition apps, or simply review your phrasal verb journal periodically. Consistent exposure and active recall are your best friends in mastering these tricky but rewarding parts of English. You have done an amazing job today, diving deep into the intricate and incredibly useful world of phrasal verbs. We've defined them, explored dozens of essential ones for daily life, understood the crucial difference between phrasal verbs and literal combinations, addressed common mistakes, and now you have a powerful set of strategies to master them. Remember, learning phrasal verbs is truly a journey, not a sprint. The goal isn't to learn every single phrasal verb overnight. That would be absolutely impossible. The goal is to gradually incorporate the most common and useful ones into your active vocabulary, making your English sound more natural, more confident, and truly more American. Each one you master is another step closer to speaking English exactly the way you want to. The key takeaway for today, the most important action you can take, is to start small, listen actively, and practice consistently. Pick just 3 or 5 phrasal verbs from today's extensive episode that you want to focus on this week. Write them down, create your own unique example sentences that relate to your life, and then, most importantly, actively try to use them in your English conversations. You'll be absolutely amazed at the difference it makes in how natural and confident you sound. Thank you so much for joining me on English in Moments today. Your dedication to improving your English is truly inspiring, and I'm so grateful to be a part of your learning journey. If this episode brought you significant value and helped clarify phrasal verbs for you, please remember to show your support by giving us a thumbs up right now. Leaving a comment below to tell me one new phrasal verb you're excited to start using this week, and absolutely subscribing to our channel. Hitting that bell icon will ensure you never miss a new episode, as we're here daily to help you on your English learning path. You can also find a treasure trove of additional resources and past episodes right here on our channel to continue your progress. Keep practicing, keep immersing yourself, and keep embracing the incredible journey of mastering English. You're doing great, and I'm so proud of your commitment. I'll catch you in the next one. Happy learning!